What happens when a beloved comedian walks onto a talk show stage and completely dismantles the host using nothing but unfiltered truth? That's exactly what viewers believe they witnessed when Joy Behar and Leanne Morgan crossed paths on The View, and the moment was nothing short of brutal. Joy Behar sat confidently at the table with her familiar, smug expression, the kind that suggested she owned the room and everyone in it. Her perfectly styled hair caught the studio lights as she shuffled through her notes, clearly expecting another easy interview. The producers had booked Leanne Morgan, a rising star in country comedy, and Joy seemed to assume this would be a simple segment where she could flaunt her supposed comedic superiority over a small-town comedian. All right. Ladies, we're back, Joy announced with her signature theatrical flair. I'm here with Leanne Morgan, who apparently thinks telling jokes about small-town life makes her the next big thing in comedy. Leanne, honey, tell our viewers what makes your little stories so special. The condescension was unmistakable. Joy's co-hosts shifted uncomfortably, sensing tension almost immediately. Leanne, dressed in a simple but elegant outfit that felt authentic rather than manufactured, smiled politely. Her eyes, however, showed she had already sized Joy up. Well, Joy, Leanne replied in her warm Tennessee accent. I reckon what makes my comedy special is that it comes from a real place. I talk about real life, real struggles, real people. Not everyone needs to put on airs or talk down to folks to get a laugh. Joy's smile flickered before she recovered. Oh, please. Real comedy requires intelligence and sophistication. Anyone can tell stories about their hometown and get a few chuckles from people who don't know any better. You know what's funny to me, Joy? Leanne said, leaning forward slightly, her tone still friendly, but now edged with something sharper. I've watched your show for years, and I keep waiting for you to say something genuinely funny, instead of just mean-spirited. The studio fell silent. Joy's face flushed red. For someone who had built her career on sharp comebacks, she suddenly found herself on the receiving end of a polite but devastating truth. Excuse me? Joy snapped. I've been doing comedy longer than you've been alive. Don't come onto my show and lecture me about what's funny. Oh, honey, Leanne replied calmly. I'm not lecturing. I'm just observing. Where I come from, we were taught that being mean isn't the same as being funny. Maybe that's just small-town values. Joy's hands clenched on the table. Small-town values. You mean small-minded thinking. Real comedy challenges people. It's not all sunshine and rainbows like your folksy routine. You're absolutely right, Leanne nodded. Real comedy does challenge people. But when was the last time you told a joke that brought people together instead of tearing them down? When did you last make someone feel better about themselves instead of worse? The question hung in the air. Joy opened her mouth but had no response. For the first time in decades, she was speechless. Whoopi Goldberg tried to steer the conversation back on track, suggesting they talk about Leanne's tour. But Joy couldn't let it go. Are you seriously trying to school me on comedy? Joy shot back. I've been on television longer than you've been telling jokes at church socials or wherever it is you perform. Leanne's smile never faded. Church socials, comedy clubs, theaters, you name it. The thing is, Joy, it doesn't matter where you perform or how long you've been doing it if you've forgotten why you started. Comedy is supposed to heal, not hurt. Oh, spare me the after-school special philosophy, Joy snapped. Comedy is about truth, and the truth is not everyone is cut out for this business. Some people should stick to their little local circuits instead of trying to play with the big girls. The audience shifted uncomfortably as Joy's hostility grew. Leanne, however, remained calm, letting every word land. Asterisk, big girls, Leanne repeated softly. Let me tell you something about big girls. Big girls don't tear other people down to feel important. Big girls lift others up. Asterisk, Joy scoffed. This isn't kindergarten. This is show business. If you can't handle criticism, maybe you should crawl back to whatever small town you came from. Asterisk, criticism. Leanne tilted her head, genuinely curious. Is that what you call this? Because where I'm from, let's call it being ugly for no good reason, Leanne said calmly. But since you brought up criticism, let me offer you some. The audience visibly perked up, and even the camera. Operators seemed to lean in closer. Joy's co-hosts exchanged uneasy glances, sensing that something explosive was about to unfold. Asterisk, your entire career has been built on punching down. Leanne continued, her voice gentle, but her words precise. You make fun of people who can't fight back. You mock folks who don't have the platform to defend themselves, and you call it comedy. But real comedy punches up. It takes aim at power, not at people who are just trying to make their way in the world. Asterisk, Joy's face turned crimson. How dare you come on my show and psychoanalyze me? You don't know anything about my career or what I've accomplished? Asterisk. Oh, I know plenty, Leanne replied with a sweet smile. I know you've spent years making jokes at the expense of regular people. I know you think being from New York makes you smarter than everyone else. I know you built a brand around being the mean girl who never grew up. And honestly, Joy, it's just sad. Asterisk, sad. Joy's voice cracked. I'm successful. I have a career. I have influence. What do you have? A few YouTube videos and some county fair gigs. Asterisk, Leanne laughed, and it was the most genuine sound heard in the studio all day. You know what I have? Joy. I have people who come to my shows and leave feeling better about themselves. I have fans who tell me my comedy helped them through difficult times. I have the respect of my peers because I treat people with dignity. Can you say the same? Asterisk, the silence that followed was deafening. Joy opened and closed her mouth, searching for a comeback that wouldn't make things worse. One of the hosts tried to smooth things over. Well, different comedians have different styles. Asterisk, different styles. Leanne asked gently, never taking her eyes off Joy. Is cruelty a style now? 'Cause that's all I've seen today. She invited me here not to have a conversation, but to embarrass me. And the sad part is, she's only embarrassed herself. Asterisk, Joy finally found her voice, though it trembled with rage. You think you're better than me with your folksy wisdom and holier-than-thou attitude. Let me tell you something, sweetheart. This business will chew you up and spit you out. Nice girls finish last. Asterisk, maybe, Leanne said thoughtfully. But at least they finish with their souls intact. Tell me, Joy, when you go home at night, are you proud of the person you've become? When you look in the mirror, do you like what you see? Asterisk, the question hit like a physical blow. Joy's composure crumbled, and for a moment, the mask slipped. The audience could see past the bravado to something brittle and insecure underneath. Asterisk, I don't have to listen to this, Joy stammered, fumbling with her notes. This is my show. Asterisk, actually, Leanne said quietly. It's the audience's show. They decide what's worth watching. And right now, they're watching you. Unravel because someone finally had the courage to tell you the truth. Asterisk, Joy looked around the table, clearly expecting backup, but found only uncomfortable silence. Whoopi stared at her hands. Sunny looked away. The others avoided eye contact entirely. But the realization that she was completely alone landed hard. Asterisk, you don't understand, Joy whispered. This is how the business works. You have to be tough. You have to fight for your place. Asterisk, no, honey, Leanne replied softly. You don't have to become a monster to succeed. You chose to become one. And the saddest part is, you convinced yourself it was necessary when really it was just easier than doing the hard work of being genuinely funny. Asterisk, the studio was so quiet you could hear the hum of the air conditioning. Joy stared at Leanne. Hatred mixing with something that looked uncomfortably like recognition. Her breathing became shallow as the truth threatened to sink in. Asterisk, then, the recognition hardened into fury. Joy stood abruptly, her chair screeching across the floor. I've had enough of this sanctimonious garbage. You come on here acting like some comedy saint, but you're nothing. You're a nobody from nowhere trying to lecture me about my career. Asterisk, Leanne remained seated, calm and composed. Joy, please sit down. We're just having a conversation. Asterisk, no. Joy shouted. This isn't a conversation. This is an ambush. You came here to make me look bad, and I won't stand for it. Asterisk, the audience shifted uneasily, some pulling out their phones to record what was clearly turning into a meltdown. Producers scrambled behind the scenes, unsure whether to cut to commercial or let the chaos continue. Asterisk, I came here to talk about comedy, Leanne said softly. But if you feel attacked, maybe you should ask yourself why. Sometimes the truth feels like an attack when we've been lying to ourselves for too long. Asterisk, stop it, Joy snapped, slamming her hand on the table. Stop with your fake wisdom. This business is cutthroat. Survival of the fittest. And the fittest isn't some small-town nobody who thinks she can lecture her betters. Asterisk, Whoopi finally tried to intervene. Joy, maybe we should take a breath. Asterisk, Joy spun toward her. Don't you start to. I'm the one with the edge. I'm the one who asks the tough questions. I'm the one who asterisk isn't afraid to say what everyone else is thinking. Is that really what you believe you do? Leanne's voice cut cleanly through Joy's rant. Because what I see is someone who mistakes cruelty for courage. Someone who confuses being mean with being smart. You don't ask tough questions, Joy. You ask cruel ones. That's it. Asterisk, Joy's face turned purple, spittle flying as she shouted back. I don't have to take this from some amateur who probably learned comedy from sitcom reruns. You want to know what real comedy is? Real comedy is telling the truth, even when it hurts. And the truth is, you'll never be more than a novelty. Act a cute little distraction for people who don't appreciate real talent. Asterisk, the silence that followed was different. It wasn't just uncomfortable, it was damning. Even Joy seemed to realize she had gone too far, but she was too deep in her rage to stop. Leanne stood slowly, her movements graceful and deliberate. When she spoke, there was sadness in her voice, and that sadness made her words even more devastating. Asterisk, you're right about one thing, Joy. Comedy is about telling the truth, even when it hurts. So here's a truth for you. You're not the victim. You're not the wronged party. You're a bitter woman who has spent so many years tearing other people down that you've forgotten how to build anything up, especially yourself. Asterisk, Joy opened her mouth to respond, but Leanne gently raised her hand. I came here excited to meet you. I grew up watching you, thinking you were this strong, funny woman who made it in a tough business. But what I see now is someone who let that business turn her into something ugly. And the saddest part is, you don't even see it. How dare you, Joy whispered, but there was no fire left in her voice. I dare because someone has to. Leanne replied, your co-hosts won't tell you. Your producers won't tell you. Your audience deserves better than what you've become. They keep watching out of habit, not because you bring them joy. When was the last time you brought anyone joy? Joy. Asterisk, the question hung in the air like a sentence being passed. Joy looked around the studio at the cameras, the audience, her co-hosts, and for the first time. She seemed to see what everyone else was seeing. a broken, bitter woman who had traded her humanity for the illusion of power. Asterisk, I've been doing this for 30 years. Joy said weakly, as if the number itself were a shield. Asterisk, and what do you have to show for it? Leanne asked gently. Because from where I'm sitting, all I see is someone who spent 3 decades becoming someone nobody wants to be around unless they're being paid to. Asterisk Joy's face crumpled. For a moment, it looked like she might cry. Then anger flared again, one last, desperate attempt at control. You think you've won something here? You think you've accomplished something by humiliating me? Congratulations. You've destroyed someone who is already down. Asterisk Leanne shook her head softly. It doesn't make me feel good. It makes me feel sad. I can see the person you could have been. I can see the comedian who probably started out wanting to make people laugh, not cry. But you buried her so deep under bitterness and cruelty that I don't think you even remember who she is. Was. Asterisk Joy swayed slightly, as if the words had physically struck her. The fight drained out of her. She looked around the studio one final time, and when she spoke again, her voice was barely audible. Asterisk, I can't do this anymore. Asterisk without another word. Joy walked off the set. Not in a dramatic storm meant to prove a point, but in the defeated shuffle of someone who had finally seen herself clearly and couldn't bear the reflection. The sound of her heels echoed across the studio floor until even that faded away. Asterisk, the cameras kept rolling. The audience sat frozen in stunned silence. Leanne watched Joy disappear backstage, genuine sadness on her face. Asterisk Whoopi finally tried to salvage what was left of the show. Well, that was certainly something, Leanne. Thank you for being here. Asterisk, thank you for having me, Leanne replied, though her heart clearly wasn't in the pleasantries anymore. I hope Joy finds what she's looking for. Asterisk. As the show cut to commercial, the audience slowly began to process what they had witnessed. They had come expecting light entertainment, and instead saw the complete psychological unraveling of a television personality who had spent decades hiding behind cynicism and cruelty. Asterisk, in the end, it wasn't shouting or rage that brought Joy Behar down. It was something far more powerful. The simple, unvarnished truth delivered with compassion by someone who refused to play by her rules. Asterisk, that was how a small-town comedian from Tennessee did what no politician, celebrity, or fellow comic ever managed to do. She held up a mirror and forced Joy Behar to see exactly who she had become. And the image was so unbearable that Joy could no longer face it. Asterisk,